And we are going to get rolling here. So, again, quick introductions. My name is Kim. I am one of the training and onboarding specialists here at Map My Customers. So, some of you, a lot of you might know me. Some of you have maybe never seen me before. We also have Alexa jumping in. She's the other trainer. So, if you don't know me, you might know Alexa. But really excited to get you guys, get this in front of you and show you some of the new enhancements that are coming out for the routing application. So, going to start us very much at the top and just talk a little bit about housekeeping here. What you are going to see today is live. We've only pushed it to a small percentage of people. So if you are not seeing it in your application right now, you are able to go to the App Store to manually download it. However, if you have automated updates or something like that, and you're like, I'm not seeing that just yet, totally makes sense because we've released it out to a small group of people and we are going to progressively release it out to a little bit more over the course of the week. If after watching today's webinar, you say, I would really like to get that into my application now, awesome. You can go ahead and go to your app store, either Google Play or the Apple App Store to get that downloaded. And you will see what I am seeing here today. So again, if you're not on the latest version, you might not see it just yet, but you can access this and you can manually download this from the App Store. Again, we are recording today, so I will send this out afterwards. Sometimes we got to do little edits, give it a little slide. So sit tight. We will send it out. And again, if you've got team members that couldn't be here today, don't worry. We will send it out to everyone that registered. Feel free to share it internally as well. But we'll get that out for everybody late today or early tomorrow. So we will get that out for you as it is available. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start sharing my mobile app here today. As we get started, if you have questions, comments, thoughts, please do feel free to drop them into the chat. Use the Q&A module. It's not something, the way that we have the webinar set up, you're not going to be able to go in and come off mute or talk or anything like that. At the end of the call, we will leave some time. So if there is anyone who we want to kind of jump in and ask additional questions, let us know. But again, the goal for today is mobile routing enhancements. If you have other questions, please do feel free to reach out to the support team, your account manager, or any of the other Map My Customers resources. The release and the changes are going to be present on the mobile application. This is the mobile app, your cell phone version, your iPad version. No changes have come into play for the web version. This is specifically going to be on the mobile app. I'm going to run through and I'm going to build a route. Again, if you have any doubts or questions on route building in general, please do reference our articles, our videos. As always, you can access our support resources from your profile section in the upper right corner of the home screen here, where I have the get help, chat with an agent, reach out through email, articles, videos. So if you have any questions about route building in general, please let us know, and we're happy to help answer those questions. I like building my routes from the map tab. If you like building your routes from the route tab, totally fine. Do it where you are most comfortable. Those are not where the changes are going to come into play, but after the route is built. So I'm going to come onto my map. I live in New York City, but maybe today I know I'm building a route or taking a trip out to Brooklyn. Maybe I know I want to target my tier A accounts or my tier A and my tier B accounts or accounts that I've never seen or people that are within a certain distance. And so I'm going to utilize filters. Again, today is all about routing. So I'm going to run through this kind of quick where I'm going to focus in on my tier A and my tier B accounts to then start building out a route. Again, this can be done from the map or the routing page, but what the changes are after we built the route. So I'm going to come in here and circle up the pins that I'd like in my route, which is maybe this section of Brooklyn. And I apologize, there seems to be a slight lag. So if I'm saying something and you're like, I'm not seeing that on your screen, Kim, give it a second. It's just slightly lagging here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to add these to my route. I could choose to add them to an existing route. So maybe I'm adding to something that's already happened, or I'd like to build out a brand new route using that blue add new route option. Coming in here, this is where you're going to see some of your first changes. This page is going to look a little bit different than it has before. You'll notice the name is going to default to the day of the week and the date. This is not set in stone. This is just a free text. So if I'd like to come in and add my initials in here or add some additional information, wipe it out, completely name it differently, you absolutely can. But for the ease of the route creation, we're really trying to reduce some clicks here. It's going to default to your current location as you are building the route, thinking or knowing that you're likely building from your home or from your office where you likely will start the route. Again, this is not set in stone. You can always come in and edit out this information, or little blue arrow on the right side will geolocate you to fill out your ending location. Start date and time will default to today and the current time. But as you could before, you can change this to whatever date or time you're looking to run the route, optimized or in order. The same selections there, a little bit different of a picker, where it just, you click between the two. And the time per stop selection looks just slightly different here, but we default you to 30 minutes. Everything that you physically select on this page is the same. The style is a little bit revamped. And I'm going to go ahead and hit build new route at the bottom of my screen, which is again going to bring me into the route that has been built. This is where we're going to start to see some cool new changes in the routing feature. Looking at this built right now, you might be looking at it and saying, okay, that's what I'm used to seeing. I see all the stops, the pin colors based on the colors they are on the map, the order that it wants me to run it in, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I drag up from the bottom to see my full route, this is where we are going to start to see some differences. And again, sorry, it looks like my screen is lagging there. It's dragging up here. So we'll give Zoom a second to catch up. There we go. This is where things are going to start looking a little bit different. A lot, if not all of this feedback are things that we have heard from you guys. So the top is going to look pretty similar, total stops en route, the duration, the distance I'm going to travel, and all that information about the route is living at the top. As I scroll down in my route, this is where things are starting to look a little bit different. You'll notice that the cards themselves look different. You'll see I have this circle and it says Wyckoff Medical Center. It says when I'll estimate to arrive based on the driving time to get to this first stop, 30 minutes per stop, the address, and now I've got some new buttons. If you're thinking back to what is currently on your card, you've got the name, you've got the address, and then you've got the buttons to get directions or the note button. The note button was not logging an activity, it's logging just a regular note on the account. A lot of the feedback that we heard is, well, I don't need to log a note. I need to log an activity or I need to check in. You will now be able to check in directly from the route. You can still navigate to Wyckoff Heights Medical Center by clicking within the box to open up the full company record view to check in here as well. If you want to check the details or look at any of the information before you go in, you still have this option here, or you now have the ability to check in directly from this route. Your navigate button is going to do the same thing as that blue directions arrow has always done. It's going to give you the option to get those directions. And again, within your settings, you can choose if you would like to do Waze Maps, Apple Maps, or Google Maps, but this will take you out to get those turn-by-turn directions to this particular stop. Coming back into the Map My Customers application, maybe I've arrived at Wyckoff and I'd like to just check in. This is the same check-in experience that you're used to in other areas of the application. I've completed my check-in, maybe I'd like to take my notes. And again, this is something that we're used to seeing. You'll notice at the top, I'm getting a toast message, stop completed. My check-in is done. And if I come in here, log my visit, take my notes, spoke with Kim about XYZ. When I come back out to my route, it is checked off. This is something that we've heard for a very long time of people very much visually liking to see and wanting to see the stops that have been completed. As you're running through your day, you're able to know where you've left off, where you've stopped, and you can quickly see, okay, where is the last stop that I've completed? Great, I went to lunch. Where do I need to pick up again? We know there's a lot of people who like to build routes that are multi-day routes. So maybe you want to just know where you finished off the last time you were there. This is going to allow you to check those off. So whether you use the check-in button or if you go into this account and check in, when you come back out to the route, you can click the green circle on the left side of the name. That will cross it off. That will mark the stop as complete. Marking a stop as complete is not checking in. So if you are needing to log an activity, you do need to make sure you're still doing the same check-in flow, filling out your notes. But this will now also allow you to collapse the stops. You can see what has been done, and even coming out to the map, it's going to indicate with little check marks where the stops have been completed. I did see there was a hand raise. If we want to go off mute, we can definitely do that at the end of this session. But for other questions, please throw them into the chat and the QA, and that will kind of address them from there. Or if the question got answered, not a problem. So I will pause there to give people a second to think or for any questions that, again, you might drop into the QA or drop into the chat. So really the big change on that is now being able to visually cross off, visually complete your stops. Awesome. We've got one question here. What if you need to check-ins? So I guess I'm not quite understanding the question there. If you need to check in twice, you can check in and log multiple activities. So if you need to check in there and then you want to mark it as incomplete, or you just log 2 check-ins, you would just select the check-in button twice. Zach asked, does this update improve note input issues I've been having in areas with low connectivity? So the check-in button still is something that's going to require internet access. You are going to be able to log activities if you do not have internet access. So if you come over here and hit add activity, you are able to add an activity without internet access. The check-in is going to maintain and still require internet because that's just kind of the nature of the check-in functionality. So if you are having issues with any offline mode or anything with logging activities or logging check-ins in low areas of service, I'd recommend trying the add activity button when you do not have service. Coming back out onto the route, and good questions, keep dropping them in the QA. That's awesome. Thank you. So keep dropping them in there and we will answer them. So as they come up, feel free to throw them in. Other things though, from the routing experience that we wanted to make a little bit easier was generally editing the route itself. Previously, you needed to bring yourself into edit mode and there was lots of clicks and it took a lot of time to kind of get those edits done. You can now make edits directly on the route. I don't need to go into edit mode. I don't need to click any extra buttons. If I'm looking at this and I say, oh, yep, I know that Treasure Cafe, that's not going to be 30 minutes. That's going to be 60 minutes. Right where it says 30-minute stop, right inside this for Treasure Cafe lounge stop, I can click directly on 30 minutes and make that edit to 60. I'll then get prompted to refresh my route. It's going to rework the route, rework how long it's going to take, rework the amount of stops, or not the amount of stops, but the stops, the distance, the duration, as I make changes. I don't need to go into edit mode to remove a stop. If I come in here and I say, oh, Wilson Medical Center, I'm not going to them on a Thursday, I can just simply swipe to the left to remove a stop. It's going to take out a lot of the clicks that have previously been required to make the necessary changes on the route itself. Other things that you will be able to do now as well. You'll notice there are 3 dots in the upper right corner. If you are very familiar with the routing page, you might know that previously there was a blue button that said edit up there. Because we've removed the need to really get into edit mode to make your changes, it's allowed us to create an additional menu where you're going to see a number of different options. If you are somebody who reruns routes, it's kind of a milk run. Every time I go to Brooklyn, I run this route. You're able to reset the stops. If you are going to reuse a route and things have already been marked as complete, you might want to open this up and say, okay, we're starting over. And this reset stops option will allow all of those green check marks to get cleared out. As always, you have the option to reorder the stops. So if you've created an optimized route or you've created an in-order route, and I'm looking at this and saying, oh no, I need to go to Wyckoff Doctors a little bit earlier in the day, going to those 3 dots and selecting reorder stops will allow me to drag and drop and rearrange the order. So if I'd like to move stop number 6 up or down, I am able to do so. One thing to note is that if you change the order of the stops, you are going to remove the optimization if you have created an optimized route. Because if you are no longer doing it in the way that is optimized and is most efficient, it will default that to change to in order. Other things you've got up here and your 3 little dots are the ability to remove stops, add additional stops, or even move stops into another route. Something that we've heard in the past is, well, what do I do if I'm out in the field and I don't finish my route? I want to move them into a different route for tomorrow, for the next day. Using your 3 dots in the upper right corner, you're able to come in and add stops to another route. Whether you are moving these stops to an existing route or moving them into a brand new route, you're able to bulk take stops that are in a route that you've already built and push them into a different route. So if I'd like to move these instead into my Brooklyn Harry Potter route, I can bulk take those stops out of this route and move them somewhere else. I previously had 9 stops in my route and now I have 6. This will allow you to interact and move the stops from one route to another as needed. All the other features and functionalities that you've used on routing are still going to be here. If I have built a route and I would like to add an additional stop, you can always search that particular company in the top search bar and then add that into your route. You also have the ability to show the other data points that are near or around your route. So if I'd like to come in and add this blue stop because I'm going to drive right by it, or maybe this one over here, I can go ahead and add those stops in to then rework the route that's been created here. You still have your lead finder option as well if you would like to go in and prospect and find new stops to add into your route. Any questions here before we step out and look at a couple final things? All right. Oh, quick question here. If you're looking at a list of your routes, can you see which stops have been completed? So if you are looking at a list of your routes, this list is still going to be the same. Great question, though. I think that's really interesting feedback to be able to see, okay, I've got, the Wednesday, April 6th, Kim Hayes route, and I would like to see that X number of stops have been completed within the route. I really do like that idea, not something that's there right now, but I think that is a good piece of feedback. So X stops completed, looking at route. And then another question here, is it possible to cross out stops on the route page rather than the home page? So when you are in the route itself, this is the routes page. So, and perhaps I'm just not understanding the question correctly, but when I am in this page, the stops are going to be crossed out as I click this white circle or as I check in. So you'll see here that Wyckoff got crossed off, and this is within the route itself. You'll also see your activities crossed out on the home page as you do usually. So the activities that you're logging are also going to appear there. But this screen right here is the route, and I'm crossing them off directly from this page. And yes, great question, Zach. That was going to bring me back to the end and kind of we'll wrap up there. So not everyone has this update at this moment. If you would like to get the update, so we are at 5.9.0, you are able to go get it from the App Store. It has just not been pushed out publicly, but you can go and seek it out. So if you come over to your App Store, you will be able to come in here and search for the Map My Customers application. And from here, you will be able to access the new version. So when you click in, if it does not say open, if it says update, you will be able to access this from the App Store. So 1% of users got it pushed out. Today, 2% of users have it pushed out, but you can go and grab this update from the store if you would like it today. Awesome. The last things I want to highlight really quick are from this route page experience itself. Previously, to delete any routes here, you would swipe it to the left. Now in this route, you would be able to use those three dots on the right side of the screen, reset all the stops, delete the route, or even clone the route. Cloning the route was something that came out previously, but definitely wasn't front and center or something you might not have been super aware of. The ability to copy or clone the route will let you build a route and then make a replica. So if you would like to have another version of this route to edit, to delete stops, to rearrange, sometimes people like to build out template routes that they'll then copy every time they're in that area. You now have the ability to do so from those three dots on the right side, and that is that copy route option. The last thing I'll highlight very quickly is something else that came out previously, but was not super loud about the change that happened there. You do have the ability to filter the map by routes. So if you are ever looking at your maps page and you say, I want to see everybody that's in a route or anyone that's not in a route, you are able to filter out your map to be sure that, especially as you're building routes in an area, that you've captured everyone. So I can go in and say, okay, great. These are not in a route. I must take a trip out to Bushwick. I should take a trip out to Williamsburg and go in and start building routes in those areas. So that can be done on web, can be done on mobile, but you do have the ability to filter your map by the route information. That is everything I have for today for changes. Like we said, you can go and get this from the App Store. So if you are not seeing it in your application right now and you would like to see it in your application, head over to the App Store and you'll be able to download it. I know it is out for Apple. I will confirm that we're out for Android at this point as well. But we will be pushing this out slowly to everyone over the course of the week. So you will be able to access it and get it if you say, right now, I want to sit with what I have for another day or so. But Friday, I've got some time and would love to poke around it then. You are able to download it at your leisure when you are ready to get this downloaded. So please feel free to pop over to the App Store and download it today, or give yourself a little bit of extra time if you feel like you need it. we will send out this recording for everybody that was here and everyone that attended. So if you know somebody who is not able to attend, but they would like to watch back the recording, they will get that if they registered, or again, share that internally as need be. And question here in the Q&A, it checks off on the map as you work on the jobs. Sorry if I missed that. Yes, no, great question, Callie. So you will notice on the map as I check off the jobs, it will check them off on the route itself as well. It might just need a refresh after you've checked one, but you will see these are the ones that I've completed, and these are the jobs that I have open. Are those numbers? That's a really great question. Nope, absolutely. And then another question here. Oh, no, really excited to have the update. I'm glad this hopefully this will be helpful. Again, a lot of this was really good feedback from you guys. So please keep the feedback coming. There are other changes that we hope to make in the future to the routing experience. For those who are web route builders, we're looking to make updates to the web routing tab as well. So please do keep the feedback coming. It really helps us help you guys to know what you guys want to see in here, what we want to see change. So we definitely know there's other areas to go with this, other improvements to make, but we really wanted to get out some of these improvements that we think will help people in the interim here. And then a question here that maybe not related to routing. So definitely, yes. Scott, feel free to reach out to support or to ask this, but I'll take a quick read of this. No, I like that. I will make a note of that, Scott. I'll have that duly noted. So ability to search on the planner list. Absolutely. And anything else in the chat here? Awesome. No, good. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. Always appreciate the time. Always appreciate the feedback. Like I said, be patient with me. I'll look to get this out today, maybe get this out tomorrow. But you will have the recording of this. Really appreciate everyone. I know you guys are very busy. So appreciate the feedback, appreciate the time. Hope to see everyone in future webinars. There are any other things, I will sit here for another minute or so and see if there's any other last minute questions, but I will stop the recording here. And thank you guys again.